Hey everyone, welcome to our, whoa, I'm not even sure. I think our 15th edition of the EIDL PPP webinar Open Q&A. This is really a time to bring your questions to the table. What questions do you have, whether it has to do with the EIDL Advance, the EIDL Loans, or the PPP program as part of the CARES Act. So this is your opportunity to ask your questions. My name is Michelle Kane, and I'm the director of the SDCEO, the Women's Business Center. Our job and mission is to help women launch new ventures and grow their business. So I will put my contact information in the chat. We welcome all of our advising is free and confidential, so you can schedule an appointment with me. And even if you want to do some brainstorming or if you want to repivot your business, whatever you'd like to do, I am here to help. I'd also like to introduce Kim Young, who is new with the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Dakotas. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
And welcome to SBA. And just turn it over to Kim and tell us a little bit about the services of VBOC.
I work for the VBOC of the Dakotas, both North and South Dakota. Simply said, we provide no-cost business advising to service member, veterans, military spouses looking to start and purchase or grow a new business for that. That's it.
Great. And Kim, if you could put your contact information in the chat box as well, that would be great. And we just, we welcome everyone. We do a lot of overlapping here at the SBA and with our SBA Resource Partners. So we have a lot of options, a lot of people to help you. So now, while we're the reason that we're here, I would like to turn it over to Marcella Hurley, who is the SBA Lender Relations Specialist, and Lisa Clausen, the Business Development Specialist for the SBA, to share what's going on, what's new in the world of EIDL and PPP. So Marcella and Lisa, take it away.
I'll start. I'm Marcella Hurley, Lender Relations Specialist for SBA. And can you see the screen okay?
Actually, we're not seeing the screen. Are you sharing your screen?
Oh, I have to say share, don't I? There we go. All right, so now you're seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, and it's not behaving. There we go. Okay, so PPP loans to date in South Dakota, we have loaned out 22,874 loans. With over $1.6 billion to date. The top sectors are healthcare and social assistance, professional, scientific, and technical services, construction, manufacturing, food service, and that number appears to be lower, and primarily because many of our food services are limited service, carry out, and they're not up and running in full service. Retail, trade, and management of company and enterprises. To receive, so let's talk about the forgiveness, because we're coming up on to the next step in the PPP loan application process, and that is the forgiveness portion. We're still waiting forgiveness guidance. We have some, and there are some procedural notices out. But every day is a new day in SBA land, so we'll give you what we have and then keep you posted as time goes on. To receive the loan forgiveness, the borrower, of course, must complete and submit the loan application. It's either the Form 3508 or the 3508EZ or the lender equivalent of that form, and they must submit it to the lender. The borrower may submit that application before the end of the 8 or 24-week period, provided that the borrower has used all of the loan proceeds for which the borrower is requesting forgiveness, and the borrower's loan forgiveness application accounts for any salary reductions in excess of 25%. If it's any different than that, we may have to enforce what's called the safe harbor And so you'll talk to your lender about that. The lender of record then will review the application in accordance with IFR 15 and 20 and confirm receipt of the borrower's certification, which is in the applications, confirm receipt of the documentation that the borrower must submit to help verify payroll and non-payroll costs. And then the lender will review the borrower's calculations for completeness and accuracy. The providing an accurate calculation of that forgiveness amount is the responsibility of the borrower, and the lenders may rely on the borrower representations. Lenders are expected to perform a good faith review in a reasonable time of the borrower's calculation and supporting documentation concerning the amounts eligible for forgiveness. If the lender identifies errors in the borrower's calculation or a material lack of support, meaning documentation, the lender should work with the borrower to remedy whatever that issue is before they can send it forward to SBA. The borrower shall not receive forgiveness without submitting all required documentation to that lender. So forgiveness is really on the borrower to help the lender to confirm completeness and accuracy and move this application forward. All right, on to Lisa for EIDL information.
Thanks, Marcella. To date, there have been 6,178 EIDL loans, economic injury disaster loans processed for South Dakota businesses for a total of $184,194,195. There isn't a lot of new information available for the EIDL program. We just received a notice reminding everyone that SB will only disperse EIDL loan funds to an applicant who has a verified financial institution account belonging to the eligible applicant or borrower. So no third-party service provider is authorized by SBA to provide EIDL loan funds on behalf of the applicant or borrower. So like I've mentioned in prior calls, all this information needs to line up with your application. So if you provided a loan number and routing number that doesn't match up with your business name, there will be an issue and your loan will be declined, and you will have to provide appropriate documentation to verify that that lines up or make some changes, and then resubmit your application to the reconsideration email box. That's about all the new information that I had for now on the EIDL. The EIDL portal is still open for applications at sba.gov/disaster. And if anyone has any specific questions, you can put it in the chat or open the line up. Just to verify that you are receiving a legit email from SBA on the EIDL program. The email address should end in sba.gov, smallbusinessadministration.gov, and you can click on the to or reply and verify the email address if you can't see the whole email address. So
Hey, Lisa.
That's all I had for now, Michelle.
Okay, so on the EIDL, if it is declined, will people get an email response? How do they get notified if it's declined?
Yes, they will receive an email. It'll either be from an employee or probably from disaster customer service at sba.gov.
Okay, and would that have applied for the EIDL Advance as well, receiving that email, or the EIDL loan for both those lanes? As far as like if it was declined?
The advance portion has run out of funds as of a couple weeks ago, so those are no longer available. So it's just the loan application that is currently available.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. And then, Marcella, we did have a question. When we talk about the responsibility of the borrower, when it comes to the PPP program of what is forgivable. How would you explain that? It is in good faith, but what should borrowers be thinking about as far as when they are going to be submitting this information?
The borrower should look at the original application and decide if they were able to spend that amount that, based on that original application, they were given a loan amount. And they simply need to show documentation that that loan amount was spent in the way that they said they were going to spend it, for at least 60% payroll and no more than 40% non-payroll.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. One other question is, there is lots of discussion on forgiveness, and I know that we're still kind of waiting for some guidance in regards to forgiving the PP loans for under $150,000. One, the question is it still a possibility? And the second part of this question is, should I hold off on filing the easy form for a little longer, as this particular business owner's loan was for around $15,000? Any guidance there?
Yeah, that 150 isn't, that there's a lot of discussion about that. And Treasury Secretary Mnuchin did say that in a public statement, but it's not written. So if it's not documented, we can't actually call that a real thing. But if you want to wait, certainly the deadline isn't passed yet. So you can wait until further guidance comes out, but you certainly can submit it at any point in time that your dollars are spent.
Okay, thank you. So it is waiting for guidance. And what is the deadline for that submission?
I believe it is, I'd have to look that up to be sure.
Okay, and maybe we can follow up with that.
Yep.
Here, just a specific lender question. Should lenders wait to submit the forgiveness application since the new legislation is expected to be released by August? I think that's a little bit of what we're talking about and of what that guidance is.
Yeah, you know, I would wait. This week is going to have a lot of additional information out. We were in a call yesterday, and there's a great deal of clarification that is still being requested. So I would wait and just see how it goes through the middle of August.
Great. Next question is, I have a client who applied for multiple EIDL loans for their different businesses under the same email address. So under the SBA website, it defaults to login into only one of the businesses. How can we access the other two businesses' applications in the SBA portal or website if they were just using the same email address for EIDL?
I'm assuming they already received an initial email or a portal, what it's called, when they send you the link to access your loan application information. And there was only information on one of the businesses. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it sounds like. And Eric, if you would like to just clarify that, it sounds like just different businesses, and I'm assuming they each have their own application number, but they use the same email address. So when they're logging in with the email address, they're only able to access one. If they had questions, would they call the disaster line?
Yeah, you can try and contact the disaster customer service line at 1-800-659-2955 and ask them that question. You might need to ask for tier 2. They ask or they answer more of the detailed questions that the applicants have. So I guess I would try and do that. I know there's a long wait, so maybe if you try at an off hour or later in the evening, earlier in the morning. I know there's been a long wait time lately on that line, that customer service line.
Yeah, we have heard that too. So
yeah, I can ask the question too. If you want to send, call me. I can put my phone number down there, and I can ask the question of that to our contact there. If you get a long wait line or wait time on that customer service line, if you want to give me a call and provide your application numbers or send me an email, I can type the information in chat line, or you can, Michelle.
Yep, I will. That would be great. And that it is, so if someone is calling the EIDL, the disaster line, do they ask for tier 2? Like right when someone,
I would just ask whatever your question is initially, and then they'll decide whether it needs to go to the next level or not.
okay.
Typically, it usually does, but just to be for sure, I would ask your question, just make it very basic initially when you get the first tier 1 to answer.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question is, if the borrower submits a forgiveness application and automatic forgiveness is determined later, would the borrower receive automatic forgiveness if it was initially determined they were only partially forgiven? Sounds like
I'm not sure that's going to be the process. The lender will decide, he'll review the application, he or she will review the application for completeness and accuracy, and then it'll go through the portal to SBA. So once it gets on the other side of the portal, SBA will then decide the forgiveness amount. So whether the rules change today or tomorrow, there's a period of time that will pass, and I think before SBA's determination, that rule will come out.
okay. Thank you. Going back to the EIDL question, Lisa, the link defaults just to the one business that was already confirmed. So each business has a separate confirmation number and each of the advances were received. And Eric is just noting that, and I'll put Lisa's contact information here. So Eric, if you have additional questions, you can follow up with Lisa.
Okay.
What else is going on, ladies?
Lisa brought her dancing ball. Ask a question and we'll give you an answer.
I love it. I know sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it? Yeah. And you know, actually, Marcella, one of the things that we get asked at SDCEO, and I'm sure VBOC does as well, as there's a lot of news out there, right? I mean, there's articles in Forbes and the Wall Street Journal and everywhere. But when we're, as SBA Resource Partners, providing advice and direction, it really has to come from SBA guidance, right? I mean, this is really where, you know, there's a lot of thoughts and ideas and opinions out there, but, you know, we're always looking for that guidance from the SBA. Maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Yes, we don't interpret. We can tell you what's been published, and we can tell you what to look to. We can point to the reference that's going to be helpful to you to answer your question, but we don't interpret. There's a lot of discussion right now about the minimum loan or the maximum loan or the forgiveness loan or the automatically forgiven loan. A lot of discussion, but until it's actually decided, let's not take it as a thing. Let's wait until we know for sure before we make any decisions.
There's a lot of third-party articles out there, and I know everyone does searches and looks at these third-party articles. Just keep in mind that they are of the opinion of the author.
Some very good sites are treasury.gov, SBA.gov. You can go to SBA.gov and put your question in the search engine. Also, the AICPA is great for advising accountants on how to calculate, and they publish all the listed publications as well. And so our lender webinar is on Thursday. We do a Friday wrap up, and at that point in time, we give them the facts, what we know is out there and what we can rely on as of that moment. And beyond that, that's the guidance we can provide.
Okay. Hey, is it AICPA.org?
Yeah, I believe it's the Association of CPAs, and it is .org.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Yeah, I just posted treasury.gov, SBA.gov, AICPA.org. It's just, good reminders of where you're getting your information from.
Treasury.gov will publish, if you like some light reading, Treasury.gov will publish all the latest publications, the procedural notices, the Treasury notices. They'll publish information about EIDL. The EIDL app is there. So that's a good site for ongoing information.
Another question. Can a person apply for an EIDL loan if they are a self-employed farmer and also has a full-time job with a business? Does it depend on how much income is from the farm? So specific to ag.
So I'm assuming the question there is they would like to apply as a farmer. And yeah, the answer to that is yes, they can apply as a self-employed farmer.
And then they would be basing that income on the farm income as opposed to their full-time job, which would be two separate lanes.
Right, and I'm assuming that's separated out when they do their taxes or have financial statements completed, or their CPA or accountant, if they have one, can separate out those expenses. I'm assuming that's done probably anyway for tax purposes.
So I hope that answers your question, Patty. If there's a follow-up, go ahead and type that in there. And I think too, it's just a reminder of what has been reported prior really helps you to decide what to do now, right? With both the EIDL and the PPP program.
Right.
I'm going to see if there was any other questions here. Today's session is going to be recorded, and what we're going to do is we've just been really providing recordings to anyone who has asked, but what we're going to do today is anyone who is registered, as soon as Zoom packages up our little recording here, we are going to be sending that out to everyone. So if there's an opportunity to re-listen or to share that, you're welcome to do that. So, Magic 8 Ball, what's going to be happening next week?
Here, I'll ask, just a minute. What's going to be happening in the SB world next week? That might be too complicated of a question. It's thinking. I complicated it.
It's thinking, that's not good.
Not good. So we may.
The batteries are low.
Right.
Battery is low.
The battery is low. So we might learn more or get some more clear guidance as far as forgiveness.
Very doubtful.
Okay, put that away.
Very doubtful.
Okay. We did have another question that did come up. Checking to see, do we need to report PPP on our 941 reports?
I would, I don't know the answer to that. We have to get past the forgiveness stage before we can address the taxing stage. And we haven't seen anything published about what will be reportable and what will be taxable.
Okay, and that's Gail, just following up, I'm not sure if you just jumped on, but one of the things is we're still waiting for clear guidance from the SBA on forgiveness. And I think that what Marcel is saying is that needs to be clarified before knowing what's actually going to be taxable.
Yeah. Right. And make sure and document everything. This is on the PPP side and the EIDL side. Make sure you document everything, how you are spending those funds, because we don't know how IRS is going to be treating these or what kind of documentation they will be asking for.
Yeah, the key right now is document, 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 and then over document. And keep everything separate. Keep everything separate in its own lanes. Really best bet in its own accounts. And so that once that guidance comes out, it will be easier for you to provide that information, however that's going to be. I would like to just open up the floor if there are any final questions, again, in regards to the EIDL program or PPP. Just give everyone a moment here. So Lisa, as we're just seeing if there's any final questions, would it be possible to just give a quick update on the Women-Owned Small Business certification and some of the things that are happening there?
Sure. Let's see, July 15th, the portal was open for a woman-owned business to apply for the WOSB or the EDWSB Federal Contracting Certification Program, and WOSB is Women-Owned Small Business, and ED is Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business, and that can be found at beta.certify.sba.gov. And up until that point, it was a self-certification by uploading a checklist of documents. So, and on that website, the beta.certify.sba.gov, there are tabs up top where you can find a listing of documents that will be required. And also, you can go through a list of questions to see about the eligibility and the certification. Now, this program is not available for every contract. It is specific to certain NEICS codes, North American Industry Classification, and that's a 6-digit code that identifies your specific product or service. So one of the main things, or a starting point, would be to make sure that your business falls under one of those NEICS codes, your primary NEICS code specifically. And that listing can be found at, if you just go do a Google, the SBA WOSB, and there's a listing of NEICS codes that fall under both certifications on that website. And if you qualify for the EDWSB, you automatically qualify for the WOSB. So you can check out that website. There's also a listing of frequently asked questions on that website that you may have. And this will be open, and the self-certification and the application process will be open until October 15th, and then it will be mandatory that they go through the application process come October 15th. And I believe that's the date that they will also start processing the applications for the certification program.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if anyone on the call does have questions about any of that, you can contact Lisa or I. We did have a great training this morning, so we did get some additional guidance and some clarification, and do look for more trainings and more information about that. But it is something that is changing, and it's an opportunity for women-owned businesses to think a little bit bigger and maybe consider working with the federal government if they are looking for the types of products and services that your business offers. So, and the way to do that is there's some, checkpoints. You want to make sure that they're interested in your type of, products and services first, but we can help you do that. So we just throw that out there as a resource, and, we are here to help. So I think we are going to wrap up today. Thank you, Kim from VBOC of the Dakotas for joining us today. Thank you, Marcel and Lisa, for sharing your expertise. We greatly appreciate it. Everyone who's on the call, you will be getting an email with our recording today and a link to register for next week's call. We will be doing this at the same time, 10 o'clock Mountain Time and 11 o'clock Central Time. And on what day will that be? That will be August 4th. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Michelle.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.